Whatever decision is made, we either sail forward or sink together, and that builds trust. I think that my business, just like all businesses right now, are going through a bit of a paradigm shift.
Honestly, I think there is just still a lot of volatility and uncertainty right now.
Sometimes you have to make a decision.
Like if something were to go wrong, what would have the biggest impact to us?
The biggest crisis was COVID-19 and the impact of that. It was obviously super impactful, and finance was kind of front and center of everything going on. I had to step up and really lead the FP&A efforts from that. How's our cash balance? How's our cash flow? What's our cash burn rate? What's the forecast look like? What's the sensitivity analysis? So it was a really taxing experience.
The biggest crisis I've faced is, again, indecision. Indecision doesn't allow you to fail, but it also doesn't allow you to succeed. Sometimes you have to make a decision, see if it works. If it doesn't, then you adjust, but you're guaranteed to not win if you don't try.
I worked at a company where my stock price went down by 90%. And so it actually forced me to think about what are the portions of my job that I really enjoy or that I like doing, or why do I want to be here beyond hoping the stock price goes to the moon. Something unexpected for my business could be that our users find a completely new way to use our product, and that leads to growth for our business that we did not expect. Like if something were to go wrong, what would have the biggest impact to us? Through that lens, it becomes a bit easier to think about how should we structure our processes and controls to avoid those things.
So we always have this idea of here's the universe of things that exist for us, but also how does this affect other scenarios? What else might this trigger, and kind of all of those downstream effects?
And I think the key to that is thinking through what the outcomes can be, assessing where the risks and the opportunities are as best as possible. It's knowing the drivers of the business, and then making sure that we're aware going into a period that we could be either X million dollars up or X million dollars down because of this risk.
So first you have to look at all scenarios, and then you isolate the ones that are most likely to happen. You can rank them by how likely you think they are, and then you can just go from the top down and address each one as needed.
I think the biggest thing I've found that works for that is just having transparency in what the numbers are and what we're striving for. If things do go wrong, there's an understanding of kind of why, and being able to communicate that throughout the organization. And I think that's true, in life and in FP&A.
We manage expectations by being very upfront with our expectations. And so the standard is set from the beginning, and the standards don't deviate.
Because at the end of the day, if one team or one person makes a decision and nobody else is on board, then it's almost guaranteed to fail.
Kind of having those people around you that you trust, that will challenge the way you're thinking to make sure you're making the right decision.
The demand that comes up the most is to turn something around or to provide something back to leadership almost immediately. That is not something that we had prepared for ahead of time. We'll be asked for a number that we've never gotten to before, and we need it by tonight.
During the height of the COVID impact, there was just so much uncertainty that we wanted to be able to get any kind of update from our partners and really see what the impact was going to be. If a partner was going to pause or was going to pull back, we wanted to make sure that we assess that impact.
When you're on the same team, it's a lot easier to tell your teammate that, hey, listen, we're in the same boat. Whatever decision is made, we either sail forward or sink together, and that builds trust.
So we knew exactly what that would do to our cash burn situation, because obviously that was kind of the key metric that we were running against.
And so we can't directly prepare for that, but what we can do is we can make sure our people understand our business and that we've built flexible models and reporting that we can adjust quickly to be able to give that insight back to the leadership. I look back at every project wishing that I could prepare better for it.
The macro swings of the markets, being able to prepare properly for that, trying to anticipate them ahead of time.
I think there's a lot of times where presented things that felt like they were good enough and close enough, but probably could have taken the extra time to get just that little bit further.
What I think about afterwards is that I should have come in listening more and just trying to absorb all of the new information.
But at the end of the day, it's always a debate between time spent versus end result.
I think you need to cover all your bases because everyone does need to be on the same page, particularly when what's happening impacts your entire company. So clear and concise communication around what's going on is absolutely essential.